good, y'all? Listen, look, I'm mad I even gotta say this.
Why are we acting like this is not agree? Don't get your fucking coat like.
There's nothing wrong with hate. You've got to hate some things with a passion. And destruction, they must dislike and hate with a passion.
I want to get into, of course, something that's very influential within our, or impactful within our culture is music, of course. Mm-hmm. We recently just had the 50th anniversary of hip hop. That was last year. A bunch of things going on with that. It ain't really have nothing to do with us. A lot of things going around it that ain't nothing to do with us, but still salute to hip hop and all the things that we've built and that has came from it. A part of what I say, a lot of the things that was celebrated, that happened surrounding around the 50th anniversary didn't have to do with us because there was a lot of watering down of our culture. Okay, it seemed like up until about 2010, it was pretty much clear that Black Americans was our shit. Hip hop is ours. Then after that, it just we start getting to murkier waters now. We leading up into last year, and we got people like Busta Rhymes talking about, Jamaicans created hip hop. We helped create hip hop, and then we got Fat Joe. Oh well, no, the Puerto Ricans was there too. We was creating hip hop with y'all. Where y'all niggas come from? Okay, because I could have sworn this was some black shit. And it's like as soon as, and that happens not only just with, it's happened with our music, but it happens with everything. As soon as it becomes acceptable to white people, aka mainstream, now it's not black anymore. Now it's American. Now it's Puerto Rican. Now it's a diverse thing. It's just something everybody. It's a Gen Z thing. It's like it's the new trend when it comes to our stuff and it being watered down for other groups and being accepted. What y'all saying about that? What's y'all thoughts about that?
This is why we got to stop with the black and brown stuff. We have to stop with the black and brown stuff. We have to understand the fact that all of these other buffer classes of people, they have disdain for black society. You go back 50 years. First off, let's clear this up. Hip hop has been around longer than 50 years. Yeah. Okay. That part. If you go back 50 years, you might see a couple, one or two Puerto Ricans that are cool with black people, but collectively, the Puerto Rican community did not align itself with the black community. You cannot say that Puerto Ricans and blacks both came together. No, there might have been one or two after the fact, but the source of it was the FBA community in these places. They're watering this stuff down, and eventually, and this is why they're doing it, eventually they're going to filter us out. They're saying, oh, it's 50-50. And then if we let the 50-50 slide, they're going to say in a couple years, well, really, it's kind of like a 60-40 thing. We really did. Y'all really helped, but we did a little bit more than you guys did. And they're going to continuously do that. And then it's going to be like, well, I mean, y'all were there, but it's pretty much our stuff, which is what they have done with everything. If we talk about country music, the second a black person gets into country music, you have white society that goes crazy because they feel like this is our stuff, even though country comes from us. And we will have the same thing happen to hip hop if we don't stop that now. If we don't understand the history of it. Right. And we don't make that be clear that anybody who was around at that time, you are not the source of it. You can't add something and then call it the creation. If you bring furniture in the house, you did not build the house. Exactly.
Man, where do we start? All right. Foundational Black Americans created all forms of music in the United States of America. Period, point blank. Anybody saying anything other than that is lying. Fat Joe, that go for you, Busta Rhymes, whoever else. What we're seeing is exactly what Afro just said, where you start off as 50-50, then it turns into 80-20, and the next thing you know, it's just like, well, we started and y'all were visitors to us, right? We're seeing what's going on with Beyonce. I mean, hell, they didn't even want Beyonce to make a country song, wave the flag. Right. They basically said, what the hell can you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you even here? Like, that type of stuff. This all goes back to the gatekeeping and the delineating that we've been doing within the last 10 years, 5 mostly, right? So we've been doing that heavy, and it was time. It was coming with hip hop. We saw it coming. It was like two runaway trains. You had the foundational Black Americans who are staking claim for our culture, and then you had the Tethers and all these other people. But one of the main problems that people made back in the 80s and the 90s, there used to be this thing of hip hop brings the world together. Hip hop's for everybody. And it's just like the African American or the Pan-Africanism. You see what happens when we have this everybody can come in mentality. everybody comes in. But
Right.
they don't come in to be a roommate. You know, they come in, they want to be the owner, and the next thing you know, they're trying to get you to pay rent. So what we've been doing is we've been the owner and we're making them pay rent. You know what I'm saying? And when I say pay rent, I mean you can come to the concert, but you're gonna pay. You can come to the concert, you're gonna sit in the back. You're not getting on stage. If you want to be on stage, you have some hot music and you'd be on stage. But the fact is, we can't find no Jamaican version of Tupac. No Caribbean version of Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle. I mean,
He going there.
come on now, you know what I'm saying?
mean-
Where, like DMX, like where, you know what I'm saying? It does not exist. And if it existed, you know, we'd see it, right? So you're seeing it now come from all over the place. Africa, the Afro beats, that was kind of like them trying to slide in. Then you start hearing people say, well, you know, hip hop started in Africa. And you notice these people never argue with each other.
No.
Because you'll have somebody say
Yeah.
hip hop started in Puerto Rico, and then they'll say Jamaica, and then Africa. How come all three of y'all don't argue with each other? Though?
Right.
Y'all all argue with us. It lets you know y'all all on the same page or just being thieves, because that's what a tether is. A tether is a thief. And I'm telling you right now, when microphone check drops, certified salute to our brother Tariq Nasheed.
real.
It's about to be regulating season, and a lot of these tethers and a lot of these people who are coming around trying to steal our culture, they're gonna get a real wake up call and let them know that foundational Black Americans, we put that FBA flag next to all of our creations, and hip hop is the main one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I think even that aspect, especially our elders, I don't think they were concerned as much with gatekeeping, you know, because it was a Black thing. You know, like I said, it was considered Black music. People wanted to stay away from anything Black.
Right.
So because it wasn't mainstream, it wasn't accepted by whites yet or non-Black people, it was like our ancestors or our elders was like, they didn't feel a need to gate. It's like, ain't nobody touching it. What are we gatekeeping for?
Right, right. Nobody's
Little
coming in.
Jamaican nigga can come in and rap. I mean, Puerto Rican nigga, I mean, we all Black.
Right.
We not tripping. You know what I'm saying? So it was never, I don't think that was never like a big concern for them, you know, because it was always considered Black, you know? But again, like you said, that was a mistake we made even with country and even jazz and blues. You know, it's a lot of our genres. You know, we've kind of made that mistake before. So now we're starting to see the results of that now with a lot of non-FBA rappers. Shoot, we got 21 Savage. This nigga talking about Zone 6. Then he turn around and he getting locked up by ISIS because this nigga's from the UK. What the heck?
Yeah.
He got his Jamaican, I think it's Jamaican or like his UK mother on his latest album. I'm
Yep.
like, where the hell is the aunties you grew up with? Where the fuck is the lady on the corner? You grew up in Zone 6.
Yeah,
What is going
he
on?
from the
So,
Zone 6 of Liverpool, England.
across the pond. You know what I'm saying?
Savage the 21st.
So even we're seeing this uprise in non-FBA rappers and moreover tethers who are, you know, kind of cosplayed as Black Americans, but really they not.
Right.
And so that issue right there, how do you think we can combat that within itself? Because I think for the most part, a lot of even the Black American rappers we have don't do enough gatekeeping.
Nope.
You know, they don't do enough calling out. They don't do enough, look, I'm from here. This is my ancestors, you know, like,
Right.
shit, I could be related to Tupac for real. You know?
Right. Right. Real pop.
Like for real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we, what should our expectations be for some of these artists? Not even just the artists, some of the labels, you know, how do we go about trying to hold them accountable and telling us exactly who they are?
Brother, you from Chicago, you know what I'm saying? And I know Chicago right now is dominating, so I got to hear your answer for that one, brother.
Well, okay. We have to understand, in order to gatekeep something truly, you have to understand and teach the history of it. The history of these things is not like taught. It was just something that, like you said, it's Black, so it doesn't need to be taught. Nobody's coming to take it. Nobody's coming to remove us from it. So we're not going to teach, okay, well, it actually started with James Brown over here, then he went over here, and then this version came over here. When these things are continuously taught to the youth will have a cultural appreciation for these things. That stuff needs to happen. So when Microphone Check comes out, you know, and that will plant the seed in letting people know the history of it. When you know the history of something, you have a sense of belonging to it. So when you have a sense of this is mine and not everybody's, you're automatically culturally going to start gatekeeping that. Okay. Another thing as well, too, we do have some folks, and this has been a problem in our community. We have some folks who want non-FBAs to be in the culture. Yeah. We had some people who, when they see Eminem, they be like, Eminem's the best rapper ever.
Oh my God.
You do have that. You do have the Black folks who everything is Black and they want a non-Black person to enter the room. So we have to have that sense of, okay, culturally, we don't let non-FBA FBAs in the room. You don't see any other culture doing that.
Right.
You don't see Chinese, Japanese, Hispanics. None of them are even allowing them to come in the room. To hold the labels accountable, the best way to do it is you're going to have to stop supporting them. Because the labels aren't going to stop doing anything if they keep getting money. So if you feel disrespected, then they need to feel, I was about to say punishment, but they need to feel some type of punishment. They need to feel monetary punishment, punishment for that. Okay? Because if this was any other community, they would monetarily punish them for it.
Right.
So we can't complain and then buy the next album. We can't complain and then support the next label. We're going to have a sense of discipline. And when they understand that, oh, this stuff ain't going to slide no more. They're not sliding with this stuff no more. This is hurting our pocketbooks. They're going to adjust. But complaining about it is not going to do anything if they're still getting paid.
Absolutely.
Big facts. Gatekeeping. So much power in gatekeeping. Like, gatekeeping literally can change the whole aspect of our community. Like, basically, I mean, closing your door is different than having your door wide open, right? One of the things that I've noticed, and I think we spoke about this before, a lot of these non-FBAs, they blend in with us. And then when they go to their award shows, they're in their best behavior.
Yep.
Cardi B will come around the BET Awards, which I don't know why she would even be. I mean, well, we know why BET invites her, but she'll come there and she'll be ratchet as hell. And then you'll see at the Latino Awards and she's dressed all nice and she speaks right. She don't say one curse word. And then there's this weird notion that she's black, you know, or that she's not at all.
Not at all black, right.
Not at all. Matter of fact, I just seen Cardi B on Instagram getting mad because she said she's Puerto Rican and she wanted to delineate from Mexicans. But yet she's the same one who comes around and tells us that we all the same. One of the things that we have to also look out for is these people who come from the Bronx. Now what they're saying is that it's Bronx culture. In Bronx now, they know encompasses Latinos and all that. See, we shut down the y'all created hip hop. They said, okay, well, the Bronx did. So by de facto, I can get in on hip hop by saying I'm from the Bronx.
Exactly.
Instead of saying Black Americans from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So they do this little game now. Gatekeeping, like Afro said, we got to start punishing their pocketbooks. And when these people come around, we got to go ahead and separate, delineate, and that's the way we kind of get, you know, our just due. And we're seeing it now. That's why Microphone Check is going to be such a big film. This is why a lot of people who have been coming around our community, they're dreading it coming out, you know, but it's going to wake a lot of people up. It's going to teach a lot of people. And at the end of the day, it's going to let the whole world know that Foundational Black Americans not only created this country, we created all forms of music as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because these people, these tethers, the artists particularly, and not even just the artists, I'm talking about anybody involved within hip hop culture. I'm talking about the influencers, the YouTubers, the podcasters, the labels, the producers, etc., etc. A lot of the times when they are tethers, it's easy for them to infiltrate our spaces and cause chaos and confusion. And that's because they come off like this, especially if they like second generation. You know, even if they first generation, they grew up here and they're not really connected to their family in whatever country. They can really indulge in our culture and come off as just a regular foundational Black American. You know, they think their family is from here. But then they get into our spaces, and what gives them away a lot of times is how they come in and disrupt. Because you look at somebody like DJ Academics, you know, who is, he's not FBA, number one, but his whole platform is built off FBA culture, you know, off hip hop culture and his commentary of it. And him in particular, you from Chicago, okay? You know about O Block, okay? He did basically a whole expose on it, which caused a lot of chaos and confusion. Almost got him wrapped up in some shit he didn't even know he was, you know, he knew he was getting into, for real. But that's because he's not tuned into the culture there. And so you got somebody like him who's coming in and commentating on things that he has no relation to, no experience with. He don't got no family members that's going through it. But he's putting his commentary out there like he knows their experience, and it's causing confusion. It's making them look like a bunch of degenerates, and it's like that's not even the case. You know what I'm saying? Even with Chicago, again, you could speak to that. Drill music, a lot of even in New York, drill music, although Black Americans started it, a lot of it is dominated by non-FBAs now. Literally, especially in New York. You look at somebody like Ice Spice, who's now trying to take claim to being half Nigerian, which I hear is some bullshit, which wouldn't even matter because it's still not FBA. But even somebody like that who's literally, I don't even know if she's Black at all at this point, but she's been able to tether herself to to drill music and, you know what I'm saying, get away with profiting off our culture.
You make a good point, because a lot of these people who don't have the cultural significance and appreciation and empathy and understanding of what's going on in these places, they'll look at this and they'll capitalize it because they don't have that cultural connection and that cultural appreciation for that. When you talk about O Block, when you talk about this stuff, if you are not from there and you're talking about it, and then what DJ Academics does is he doesn't just talk about it in a, you know, a sense of history. This is what happened at this date, and then this is what happened at this date. He's not doing it like that. He's talking about it, then he's putting his own little spin on it, then he's putting his little 2 cents on it, and he's not, number one, from Chicago, and then number two, FBA. And when he does that, it fuels a lot of the tension that's already existing within those places. So this highlights the importance of delineation, because before he even got that platform so big, it should be known rules that, hey, since you're not from here, since you're not from, number one, this region of America, and then you're not from this lineage, these conversations are forbidden from you off rip.
Right.
When we have that cultural thing, like, hey, our conversations are forbidden for you to make monetary platforms on, for you to discuss. We don't have platforms discussing Asian history. We don't have platforms discussing Jamaican history. We don't have platforms. If we had a platform discussing Jamaican history about beefs going on in gangs in Jamaica, the Jamaican community would be outraged by that.
Yep.
They wouldn't allow that. They wouldn't tolerate that. But we have always been taught that, well, if they're black, they're black. And we have not had the appreciation for the fact that we're FBA black. They're just Jamaican black. Okay.
Right.
No disrespect, but there's things that are forbidden here. Because we would not do that to them. So when we start to develop that cultural code of conduct, that stuff is going to stop happening.
You know, the thing that's so dangerous about allowing tethers into our music is now they start becoming social influencers, right? Queens Flip, that guy, right? Is he Caribbean or something like that? He's not an FBA. He comes in and he starts talking about hip hop. That was his little way in the door. Now he's talking about reparations.
Oh, Lord.
Academic talking about reparations. Don't even get me started on DJ Vlad, because we got to talk about them tethers too now.
Yeah.
You know,
The
you got,
non-black ones.
you know, the TOCs, the tethers of color. And then you got the white tethers, you know, and he comes in and he's locked up people left and right. And I know people say, well, they don't have to go on this platforms. A lot of times, first off, there are a lot of young rappers that really don't know a lot. He doesn't really pull that on people who are older. I know the rapper Mac 10 from the West Coast. Mac 10 was on DJ Vlad's platform, and he was asking him all these incriminating questions. Mac 10 didn't go for none of that. Mac was like, hell no, I ain't answering none of that on camera. And then the interview really didn't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? He never brought Mac back. That's how grown FBA men and women handle that situation. Now he gets a little 19-year-old who got a goddamn song that's famous because, you know, it went viral on TikTok. Don't know no better, probably spending their money wrong, brings up a case they had. They don't really know, so they're going to go. It's like we said, these people are very predatory. That's predatory stuff. Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe, DJ Vlad, Academic, they're predatory people because they know who they can and can't pull that off on. They'll never pull that off on somebody who's intelligent, older. This is no coincidence that this tether problem came around when all the rappers of the golden era got older, right? You know what I'm saying? Would this be going on if Tupac was still alive? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you know, DMX was still alive, and then, you know what I'm saying, his prime, that wouldn't really be going around. They did this when, you know, MC Pootie Loke came around, you know what I'm saying? And MC Ratchet, you know, MC Degenerate popped up, like these young folks. And then they tell them a story that isn't really our story. So this is why, as we say, there's so much power in delineating, but we have to stop these people from coming into our community because they don't just know how to stop. That's one thing about a tether. A tether don't know how I'm just going to tether onto this two things. They're going to tether on to every single thing they can get because they're a thief. You know, nobody's going to break into a house and say, I'm going to take the TV. They're going to take TV. I'm going to get the car on the way out. I'm going to the refrigerator, get the chicken from last night, the leftovers. That's the way they move. So we got to be careful of these people because it starts off with hip hop and they start having their little 2 cents on hip hop. And then next thing you know, they start having their 2 cents on reparations and an anti-black hate crime bill. And one of the main things that you're seeing now is they're literally feuding and trying to get rappers to fight each other. There's this hailstorm, the J. Cole situation with Kendrick Lamar. It was mainly tethers who was like, yo, you know, fight. Black Americans, we may have said, oh, I want to see a good battle, but we kept it within hip hop. These folks want to see a real
they want to
physical conversation.
Yeah.
All DJ Vlad talk about is Biggie and Tupac.
Right.
Like that's all. He's made millions of dollars off of the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, and nobody says a goddamn thing about it until us. So that's why we're doing such a big deed for the community, is regulating, G-checking and gatekeeping these people and letting them know like hip hop is ours, and you will wipe your feet at the door.
Which just before, and what you said was brilliant, and this is why having black media is so important. This is why, because a rapper is going to want to have an interview. If you have an album coming up, or if you're a young artist to any degree, you're going to want to have an interview. You're going to want to talk about your work and everything like that.
Exposure.
If the only platform you have are the Vlads, and the only platform you have are the non-FBA platforms, it only gives you that option.
Yeah.
And then they have things that they are going to ask you that's going to really mess you up in the long run. But now we have FBA-owned platforms that they can come to, that we're not going to ask you any incriminating questions. We're going to stop you, actually, from, if you want to say something, be like, man, last week it was like, well, actually, we're going to cut that part out.
Right.
You know, we're not going to say that. We have that. We're not going to ask you that. We're not going to ask you about existing beef, current beef, that's going to leave the studio, and then y'all going to get in the shootout in the streets. So this is why it's important for us to do what we're doing and have platforms for new artists to come and tell their stories, or older artists to come and tell their stories.
No, absolutely.
Facts.
Absolutely. And even with that, like, there's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of non-FBA tethering themselves to our culture, to hip hop. Now, my problem is, it's like, I don't, like, again, we all black. You know what I'm saying? I don't got a problem with a little Jamaican coming over here and rap. You know what I'm saying? Here and there. Like, whatever. We like that. Of course you want to rap. Why wouldn't you? So I'm not mad at that. But what my problem really lies in is that a lot of these, even if they're black, non-black, people who come into our culture and want to come up off of it, you want to come up off the most degenerate things of our culture. You know what I'm saying? So you got little white boys like Lil Mabu talking about shooting people up and gangster this and bitches that, like, and his shit is geared towards kids. Like, ain't no grown ass people listening to him. Like, it's children listening to him. He's up there. Matter of fact, I just seen a clip of him with a little black boy, what's his name, Lil RT, I think, who's also a rapper, and he got him in a song cursing, and I mean, it's just they in the hood. This little white boy don't know nothing about that. This little nigga got wealth. He come from, like, his parents has money. He probably had money to fund his own career, or his parents probably invested in him. He's not like that little black boy who just went viral and just so happened to come up like that. He did. His parents didn't have money to invest. It's not the same, you know. And so these people come over here again, have no attachment, no relation to our experience, but then want to come up off the most ratchet or degenerate parts of our damn culture. Which is it's straight up bullshit, because now you're profiting off something that I'm getting torn down for. You know, like, and that's it, and you're putting it on as a costume. This is something that I gotta wear. This is something I've learned. Like, this is my culture. This is my experience. This is all I know. And you get to put it on and make money off of it. And I look like the degenerate statistic, you know, on the street, which is bullshit. But that leads into us, again, having to gatekeep, you know, and us being shamed, even the degree that we do gatekeep now, us being shamed for it. Man. You got people out here who, girl went viral for saying that she wanted to gatekeep Carnival. You got Adele at Carnival, and black Americans is like, what the hell is Adele doing at Carnival? And they looking at us like, why y'all worried about what Adele doing? She good. You know? So it's like, but then when we tell people, even like Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, we trying to, like, this is country music is ours, it's out. Now everybody's dragging Beyonce. Oh, I didn't even like the album. Oh no, she doesn't. Why? This is not her genre. This is, you know. And so it's like, when we do it, it's a problem. When they do it, it's cool. When they do it, when we do it, fuck.
It's a problem. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
See, we do not play by our creed. You fuck with the team, might find your West in the creek. We crossing our T's. We don't never miss a beat.